as Othello, Jose Ferrer as Iago, and Uta Hagen as Desdemona. The director was Margaret Webster, who also powerfully played the part of Emilia. By far the best Iago I have ever seen was the complex and frightening performance by Frank Finlay, which I saw in London in 1964. Laurence Olivier, acting in blackface, was a very inadequate Othello, acted quite off the stage by Finlay, and indeed by the rest of the cast, Maggie Smith as Desdemona, Joyce Redman as Emilia, and Derek Jacobi as Cassio. In more recent years I have seen several splendid performances of Iago, but none to match Frank Finlay. In different ways, Kenneth Branagh, the wonderful Simon Russell Beale, and the comedian Rory Kinnear all augmented my apprehension of Iago, but not even Beale matched Finlay. I should add that not once have I seen an adequate Othello, except perhaps Orson Welles, in his film version, 1951. Throughout this book, Iago, The Strategies of Evil, I will several times return to Frank Finlay's performance. It possessed a tense fusion between hatred and love for Othello. Iago is the ancient, or ensign, of the Moor Othello, which means that he is Othello's flag officer, who is pledged to die rather than let his general's colours be taken. He has fought Othello's battles, and worshipped the Moor as a virtual god. Before the tragedy commences, Iago has sustained a tremendous shock that has unmanned him and devastated his state of being. He has been passed over for promotion to Othello's lieutenant, and suffers from what John Milton's Satan, who owes much to Iago, calls a sense of injured merit. Satan, in his unfallen form of Lucifer, was second only to God in the heavenly hierarchy. When God rather belligerently pronounces that this day he has begotten Christ, his only Son, and that him who disobeys me disobeys, the offended Satan begins his rebellion against God. Iago's progeny begins with Milton's Satan and passes on to such high romantic heroes as Shelley's Prometheus and Byron's Cain, later manifesting as Nathaniel Hawthorne's Chillingworth, who torments Dimmesdale in The Scarlet Letter, Herman Melville's Captain Ahab in Moby Dick, and his Claggart in Billy Budd, Thomas Sutpen in William Faulkner's Absalom, and the two really horrifying descendants of Iago, the butcher-bird Shrike in Nathaniel West's Miss Lonely Hearts, and Judge Holden in Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian, or The Evening Redness in the West. Othello lives by the honour of arms, and has chosen Michael Cassio as his lieutenant because he intuits that Iago, though loyal and honest, meaning bluff and outspoken, does not know the limits that separate war from peace. He might be a stellar warrior, but he has no skills for peace times. Iago is a pyromaniac who wishes to set fire to everything and everyone. The tragedy opens on a street in Venice, where a dialogue takes place between Iago and Rodrigo, who is infatuated with Desdemona, and who becomes the gull of Iago. Rodrigo. Tush, never tell me. I take it much unkindly that thou, Iago, who hast my purse as if the strings were thine, shouldst know of this. Iago. 'Sblood, but you'll not hear me. If ever I did dream of such a matter, abhor me. Rodrigo. Thou toldst me thou didst hold him in thy hate. Iago. Despise me, if I do not. 3 great ones of the city, in personal suit to make me his lieutenant, off-capped to him, and by the faith of man, I know my price, I am worth no worse a place, but he, as loving his own pride and purposes, evades them with a bombast circumstance, horribly stuffed with epithets of war. I can still hear Frank Finlay fiercely intoning Iago's contempt for Othello's overstuffed bombast with its hidden uneasiness. And in conclusion, none suits my meditators, for certes, says he, I've already chose my officer. And what was he? Forsooth, a great arithmetician, one Michael Cassio, a Florentine, a fellow almost damned in a fair wife that never set a squadron in the field nor the division of a battle knows more than a spinster, unless the bookish theoric, wherein the togaed consuls can propose as masterly as he. Mere prattle without practice is all his soldiership. But he, sir, had the election, and I, of whom his eyes had seen the proof at Rhodes, at Cyprus, and on other grounds, christened and heathen, must be beleed and calmed by debtor and creditor. This countercaster